when we lead a team, the more we actually personally experience, we understand others' perspective. Recently, just very quick example. One of our leader in the team, she was looking after HR side. She is very logical and strict. And she says, I just couldn't understand why some people, they can't just follow the rules. And last week, she was sick. She couldn't even respond. She doesn't have energy to really answer any question, like to get in touch with the team. Then because of the experience, she understands when someone in that energy state, they just couldn't bother. They just don't have the energy to do anything. So because of the experience, she understands now. Oh, so when other people experience that, what was their feeling? So she let go of the judgment of that because the experience. So let's imagine, like, as a leader, if we experience a lot of things and resonate and then learn the lesson from it, we can really be empathy for others.
Hello, listeners. Hello, viewers. And I hope your 2026 is continuing to be off to a great start. Today, I'm joined by Joanna Zhang, who is the award-winning founder of the Operations Genius, creator of the world's first fractional virtual assistant service, which is a pretty revolutionary approach to operational support. And today we will be talking about Joanna's entrepreneurial journey, the leadership lessons she's learned, the mistakes that she's made and seen made, the crossovers and common lessons between spirituality and leadership, and the role of empathy and conscious leadership. Really enjoyed this conversation. Joanna's a great guest, and I think you're all going to really benefit from her energy this morning if you're listening to her in the morning. Feels weird saying that on a podcast because I don't know when it is or what time of day or where you are when you listen to this. But when I'm speaking right now, it's the morning. So there we go. I think everyone's going to benefit from Joanna's energy this morning. I know I did. If you do enjoy this episode, please let me know. Leave a rating or a review. Become one of the nearly 50 people who've reviewed us on Apple Podcasts now, or give us a star rating wherever else it is that you're listening. And if you would like to dive deeper into leadership, if you'd like to expand your knowledge, if you're looking for guidance or support from a leader who's been there and done that, then do please pay a visit to my website. It's www.leadingwithintegrity.co.uk. And once there, you will find all sorts of resources. There's articles, there's my PDF quick start guide to leadership, there's a heroes and values quiz, and there are, of course, links to book onto my next Leadership Values workshop, sign up for the Leader Not a Boss newsletter, which is the companion to this podcast. And as always, you can come and join my Integrity Leaders online community, be part of a wider community of leaders, have those conversations that you're worried about having at work with your boss, and benefit from many more resources, courses, documents, conversations, and events, all aimed at leaders like you. That link is in the show notes below, and do feel free to reach out to me if you have questions. My LinkedIn profile link is there too. Send me a message. I'd love to hear from you.
Welcome to the Leading with Integrity podcast. Leadership talk for the modern manager. With your host, David Hatch.
Joanna, welcome to Leading with Integrity. It's lovely to have you on the show today.
Oh, so lovely to be here, David. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, it's a conversation across several oceans, isn't it? With me in the UK and you down under. So
Yeah, but nowadays you see there's the beauty of the technology. They break through all the barriers of distance, and it's literally like facing you face to face, right? And I believe
absolutely.
all the audience all around the world one day hear about our voice, it just feel like we're beside them.
Yeah, it's definitely the advantage of technology, isn't it? Yeah. So best place to start, I find, is over to you for a little while. Tell us a bit about your career so far, what you do today, and why you do it.
Oh, wow. It's a big question, but I'll make short and sharp and sweet. Right. So I'm Joanna, located in Australia, in Sydney. So currently running a business called Operations Genius. From the word you can see is related to the operation side of the business. Also, we're focusing on the genius for every single one of the team members, also our clients. So that's our mission and passion. I actually grow into in this business through my career transition from professional into business owner. Also, personal experience leadership style changes from title leader, servant leader to spiritual leader, which we can dive deeper later on when we have the conversation. So I believe that today I'm so happy to be on this podcast called Leading with Integrity, because 4 years ago I had a solo awakening event, find out my soul mission, soul power, soul purpose. It is around the leadership and helping teams and their members to grow to create a better world. So I'm so happy to be here to share all the experience and insights.
Lovely. Okay, so tell us a bit more about your business today. How did you, what was the, I don't know, the precipitating event? How did that business come into existence? What led you to it?
Yeah, so very interesting. Like many business owners, probably when we start a business, um, some are planned and some are not. And this one is out of the plan for sure. Because when I started to be self-employed, I was a financial planner actually as a professional. I left the bank and started to be self-employed. But from that experience, I found out there's a lot of things I need to learn, become a business owner, because that's a totally different area. And because of I'm not very self-sufficient, not DIY styles, I found there are some tasks I'm very incompetent, like IT or marketing. I don't like it, and I'm not good at it. So I had to find someone to help me. But at the time, I was working with the different VAs and experiencing challenges and hurdles. I had all those challenges of really finding different skill sets to help my business within my budget. But I couldn't find something in the market that's suitable for my needs. I need all different kind of skills, but they all work in 20 hours, 40 hours, a lot of them full time at the time. So I couldn't really, find a model to support me. So fortunately enough, after all the challenges and hurdles, I finally formalized a star team. Everyone specializes in their genius zone and specialties, so I can customize the team to support business to start with. Then I thought, why don't I share that with others? Because many of us on the business scale up journey were experiencing similar thing. And if I figured a solution, why don't I share that? That's how the operations genius born. Mm.
Wow. And so how do you find these people? Is it just, I don't know. I mean, do you meet them on the internet? I mean, do you, what's your recruitment process, I guess, is the question.
I think very initially I went through the agents. So they
Okay.
actually find the talents on my behalf and they screen them and interview them. Of course, I do the final interview. And from that process, there was a lot of challenges and, trial and error as well. But as many business, the hiring the new talents, we're all experiencing that. But to be honest with you, I run this business for 8 years. For the very first 6 years, I've never met them face to face, just online.
Wow.
But I think 2 years ago, first time I visited Philippines, and because they all in Philippines, and we had such a wonderful time together face to face. It's just like a family, and just create a deeper bond as a human, layer face to face. So that's wonderful. So what I would like to say is that because that relationship was built on the trust, and there was a time working together to really roll out and grow together to make things really kind of work out, even though there's everything online. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's an increasingly familiar story, isn't it? The kind of the online only business. And I mean, that's a great example of how well it works and why it should be the norm, I think. I mean, I'm definitely a big advocate of online first, online only, remote 100%,
Yeah, especially after COVID.
Yeah, I mean, during COVID, we didn't have a choice, but I think it was good because it showed us what was possible.
Yeah.
It was kind of if one good thing came out of the pandemic, I think that was it.
Yeah.
But this whole sort of like you read the headlines. I was just saw one just the other week, and they've been going ever since COVID about this whole return to office and people talking about the office, the team culture is just not the same remote and all of this sort of thing. I mean, what do you think about that, given your experiences with it?
Well, for me, because there's no big change because for me it was always online, but I can understand how people feel because I used to work in the office. Everyone was very close and with a certain schedule to hang out together, to communicate, collaborate, but suddenly it started to be online. And then when they get together, the team always missing certain people. It's not like a full house as before, and then the time become more flexible. From the team member as well as going to the management, especially the management, probably facing more challenges because nowadays they using different ways to really lead a team. Yeah, I could feel there's a pros and cons or maybe different challenges for every different one. But I believe whatever happens for us, there's a reason behind it as far as we learn the lesson and improve and grow, right, from it. Mm.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, so it's interesting. Yeah, I particularly like hearing stories from people like yourself who've done both, because I sort of have done both, except the
Okay.
offices I worked in were awful. Like even then, before remote work, I didn't want to be there.
Oh,
A
so
lot of
it's
the
better
time.
for you then
Yeah,
online.
oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why I work by myself and remotely all the time. But it's so I'm conscious I have quite a big bias there, and maybe if I'd worked in a fun office environment, I mean, not to say it wasn't fun. There were times, there were moments where it was good, but
Can I
yeah,
ask you a question? I'm just
yeah,
curious. Are you introvert?
yeah. So this is a difficult one as well. Yeah, so I've
Uh,
had this conversation a few times, and I've done some of those like introversion tests. So like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I was massively introverted according to the tests I did back then. I did one more
right.
recently, and I was bang in the middle between introvert and extrovert, which I thought was quite interesting. And I don't know why
Yeah,
that is.
I feel like because I understand how you feel, introverts are very more sensitive to the energies. That's why
Mm,
they tend to go invert by themselves because my elder son is like that. So I understand while he's in the school, he couldn't really cope very well, especially with a lot of people. But he has very good friends very closely, like so I understand introvert as a character is very sensitive to big environments, especially some energies interfering their comfort, environment. So yeah, but I saying that by understanding everyone's uniqueness and difference, it's very helpful in a way to understand other people's perspective to work together as a team. Mm.
100%, 100%. I think you're right. I've always kind of had this theory in my head that came down to the context I was working within. And I think that's
Yeah,
probably the reason I saw the change is because now, I mean, I control the context. I'm a business of one.
yeah,
I work from home, so it's entirely down to me. And but also, like, I've
yeah.
got to put myself out there because I don't have anyone else to do it for me. So I have to be a little bit extroverted, otherwise nobody knows I exist and the podcast doesn't happen and all these other things.
It's a great
Um,
way. I mean, because podcasting, you have a one-on-one connections. You're still in a
mhm,
very comfortable environment to exchange ideas, collaborate, and
yeah,
then also you can really share these messages out, which is wonderful, beautiful.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I love it. Obviously, I wouldn't keep doing it this long otherwise.
yeah.
Yeah. So you've talked a bit about some of the challenges you had in your entrepreneurial journey. Like, have you done the biggest one yet, or not? If not, can you?
Well, to be honest with you, I used to hate challenges. But whenever I experience that, but I can always somehow overcome it. But I used to actually afraid of that. I said, oh, the less the better, right? Because at that time I am afraid of, I have a great fear on the unknown. Because I used to be a controlling freak. When I started my business, started to lead a team, I was totally a title leader stage at that time. I'm not sure whether if any of your audience actually work in the corporate, whatever it is, we all probably went through that stage of, oh, I'm a manager now. I'm team leader now. I have this title. So I went through that period of a title leader stage of, okay, I'm here now. I got to control and then, make sure everything is safe. No, so at that time, because I needed safety, so I don't like unknown. So when you say the challenges, I believe is always there. Have I ever experienced the biggest one? I don't know. And the thing is that probably if the more I can handle the risk, the more I'm open to the unknown, probably the more challenges are there. because that lesson I actually learned from my spiritual mentor. Once she said, the true self-love is actually to experience self-value, not proof. I used to think it's proof. I can prove I'm a leader. I can do it. But it's actually experience. But I used to actually hide myself to, bounce back any unknown uncertainty. I couldn't really experience my self-value. But now I'm open to it now because I believe myself. I can really choose whatever happens. I can do something with it. It's not about result. It's more about during the process I will grow something out of there. So I started to. So your question, I have to say, I don't know. But no matter what it is, I'm ready for it. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I mean, there's the biggest
Yeah.
challenge so far, isn't there? Then there's is it the biggest I'll ever have? Yeah, it's a tough question. I mean, it's an interesting perspective as well that I think many, I mean, not just business owners, not just leaders, really. I think everyone in their life could benefit from that
Yes.
sort of mindset. And it reminds me as
Mm.
well of like the way we, certainly at school and like in early life, the way we're taught to view mistakes and things going wrong. And exactly
Yeah.
as you said, like, you used to see them as bad things, something to be controlled and minimized. But actually, I don't know about you, but as I've got older, I prefer getting something wrong because I'll learn something from that. Whereas if I get it right, I mean, I don't know if this is just me and my sort of mentality, but if it works, if it succeeds, if it goes right and well, I'll go,
Mm.
in my head, brilliant. That's done then. I can stop thinking about it. I put it aside and I don't learn as much.
Yeah,
And I
that's so
think,
true. Actually, we mentioned about imposter syndrome. I used to have that. And I noticed is because I had that, a few factors, but one of that is because something if went through so smoothly, I somehow felt, oh, it was too easy. Was it just
yeah,
luck? Or I truly have the ability? Is that true? Is it real? Is that me? Or maybe someone helping me? I started to doubt
yeah,
myself. If something, well, it doesn't mean that we don't appreciate that. But at the time, I was like, if it's just so smooth, somehow we don't let, we take for granted. And at the meantime, like we started to doubt ourselves. It's such a conflict about that part. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
No, I know exactly what you mean. I used to be the same. Even today, like if something goes really well, I'll be like, oh, all right then.
Something
That
wrong
was
with it.
weird. Yeah. I must have misunderstood.
But now,
Yeah.
yeah. I think somehow, and now, um, since I started to really practice spiritually in a way that uh, let's not use it spiritual, but it doesn't matter. It's the way of looking inwards, right? Start to really love myself, truly accept my own value, and started to believe myself more. I started to accept whatever happens to me, either smooth, not smooth, challenge, hurdles, whatever it is there. I believe there's a reason behind it, right? So if something very smoothly, I mean, it must be saying, there's something I'm already past this test. I don't need to learn something, and it's something good karma, or maybe something I'm supposed to really achieve to go to the next stage. But if something really comes up, that there's a sign for me, or maybe there's a lesson behind it, maybe there's a warning, maybe I need to look into that, right? I started to look things differently. I used to have a pattern, same pattern running again and again before my soul awakening because I couldn't really learn the lesson. But now I started to have an awareness and a consciousness to sense what is behind it. And if there's smooth, I'll just be grateful and totally gratitude. And if there's a challenge, I will, find the lesson behind, learn from it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that whether you come to it spiritually or through self-reflection or, I don't know, a self-help book or some whatever,
Yeah.
that kind of the difference between internal and external validation, I think is something that, again, like everyone in life would benefit from getting better at that, but it's very relevant
For
for
sure.
leaders too. Because I think too often we compare ourselves to others. We look at that sort of I don't know, keeping up with the Joneses or like the social media perception of the world. And we're all trying to meet an unattainable standard quite a lot. Whereas actually, at the end of the day, who really cares? None of that actually matters. It's not really affecting your life, except in that it makes you chase something you can't ever achieve. So it's much better,
Yeah.
I think, especially for
Yeah.
leaders. Well, I say for leaders, for everyone, to think more about like, what have I done today that's made an impact, made a difference? Am I valuing myself appropriately? Do I need to improve on things? What have I done well? Just having that sort of self-reflection, self-awareness kind of thought process. And I think you can usually spot someone or a leader, especially who is doing that and is good at it, because in my experience, they're a much better leader because they're not thinking about themselves in the sense of I'm the all-important kind of control freak boss person. They're thinking about themselves in terms of their service and how they can help others and whether they are actually a leader they can live with, frankly.
Yeah, I'm so with you. And just now you mentioned about compare with ourselves. I used to be in that stage too because I didn't believe my own value. And the worst is that part of the imposter syndrome is coming from lacking of self-confidence. Funny enough, right? I look very confident, but I used to everybody say, "Oh, you're so confident," but inside, I just felt something is not fully there. Like that's why I feel like an imposter. So, and especially worse is that I always compare my weakness with others' strength. I didn't know why I do that, but I did it. For me, I felt like I want to become better, right? But the conception is that I wasn't good enough. So that's all foundation wasn't there to truly accept my true value. But since I really go inside to my spiritual journey, I realized that every single soul is uniquely different. There we can't compare either because everyone's so unique. So there's no point for us to compare at all. So since then, I started really truly accept all aspects of myself, light and darkness, the strength and weakness, and to really look into that just to accept that's all part of me. And then since then, wow, I think things started to change because I let go of the comparison. I let go of the external validation because I don't need to prove anything anymore. I'm here as myself, but being here has a value. So there you go. I think that boosts my really true call of the confidence enormously. And just be here, be present, and then share whatever we have. It's already part of as a leading journey. And as a leader, I feel like it's more like, especially I love your topic of integrity. And when I look at this world, I was so touched by it because I used not to lead with integrity, especially when I say it, I didn't do it. And that actually knocked down my confidence enormously, to be honest, because my spiritual mentor actually once said, I totally agree. She said, the true confidence is coming from we fulfill something we promised ourselves. Actually, not for anybody else. I used to set my goals for many years before my soul awakening. Never really achieved it. Every year start a new one. Oh, I had to routine. Okay, I'll just carry forward. But somehow it's actually distracting my, it destroy my confidence. I didn't really complete it. And sometimes if I achieve something, I didn't feel fulfillment because of that. But since I started to be really have this awareness and really look into the lessons, like what you're saying, learn from the mistakes and really have a change. I surprisingly find out from 2 years ago, every single year I upgrade my goal, and every single year I achieved it, also upgraded and more in details and precision. So I can see the growth from there, and that gave me enormous happiness and fulfillment. Nothing else can compare.
Yeah, I think confidence is definitely part of it. And the self-confidence as well as like the outgoing confidence. I think something else that maybe isn't talked about as much as it could be in this sort of area is like, I guess like the social pressure of it, but also like the workplace and those expectations and that sort of the traditional way that people think work happens and like hierarchy structures, that all of that. It just builds this big machine for making you feel imposter syndrome, doesn't it? Because you've always got that next person up the ladder to compare against. You've always got someone giving you that annual appraisal, which I absolutely hate as a concept. But there's always that kind of, you're nearly ready for the promotion. You just need to do X, Y, and Z and be more like that person. And it's very difficult when you're working in those sort of environments, I think, which is, let's face it, the majority of workplaces these days, sadly. There's a few who are getting it right, I think, doing it differently, but not as many as there could be. It's very, and I think this is why imposter syndrome is so so common. It's why nearly everyone has it, because you're in that. There's no escape from it. It feels like.
Yeah. Or by saying that, if actually, well, if we choose to stay in that environment and kind of want to really step to our true self, be confident, be happy, um, I've learned something of separation of lessons. Like I used to be people pleasing. I didn't accept conflict because I didn't like conflict. I was people pleasing, and then that's why actually after the title leader stage, I got a role, I got a position, controlling freak, and gradually into a serving leader stage, I started to really understand other people's perspective. But because I was people pleasing, I was giving too much out, supporting, like too much space. And I could find some people started to step on my boundaries. And that's a balancing act. Like some people can really do work very well, but a certain attitude is just not really there too. But as a business owner or as a team leader, we often need to balance those things. I believe whomever in this position may experiencing similar things, but from a team member point of view, I think the intention from the team leader or the company culture is very important, because if the company culture is from a hierarchy style, they just design these rules purely just for controlling. Of course, people feel like prison, and then not appreciating about whatever is upcoming, because people just doing it for KPI, just sake of it. However, if the true culture behind is for growth, people can feel it, and they will strive to be the better version of themselves, because for themselves is like a self-improvement, it's a fulfillment. So, but by saying that, because I experienced the title leader and servant leader with my business, now I gradually grow into a spiritual leader, which is I started to balance compassion and boundary. um we internally actually established something like a system to recognize good behavior, to give a warning, or let's say let them bear the consequences of certain behaviors, which is not good for everybody else. So, and everybody in the team can feel it's for the purpose of growth, and everybody started to really follow that from their heart. It's not just for the sake of, oh, I need to keep my role, whatever it is. And then interestingly, we had a team member. She's doing so well with what she does, but she constantly have some mistakes, not be meeting the deadlines, not submit her hours correctly, those sort of thing, habits. And but with this system, she finally got the Genius of the Month of the award, because she started to change her habit after she bears certain consequences. So I believe in the leadership side, it is as a leader ourselves, it is my growth journey too. I experienced all those controlling freak into pleasing, now balancing. If I didn't grow myself, I wouldn't be able to lead my team to have a really healthy and happy, environment of growth, intention to really help everybody to grow, including myself.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few lessons in there, aren't there?
Wow,
I
a
think,
lot.
I mean, yeah, you're so right. I think, like, I have seen some really exceptional leaders who have genuinely made a real impact working within a hierarchy, but I do feel like that tends to be the exception rather than the norm. And I think, as you say, like it makes it all about the KPI, the kind of the next reporting to the next level up and controlling the next level down. And it's that word control is the key thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
And yeah, it's a tough one,
it
because
is tough.
it's also like very easy to understand, really easy to implement, and everyone, well, not many people have to think very hard about it. Like and that's probably why it's lasted as long as it has.
Yeah, and especially the bigger the organization, the harder it could be. Even though, let's say, the CEO actually set up the culture as growth and had a true intention to help the others, but there's other layers of management in the team. They need to grow into true leader as well. So everybody having their own life lessons to affect their part of team members to grow together. It is not easy. However, I think if we strive actually to set a tone and then to be consistent, be persistent, to really find solutions, to really dive through to different channels and branches, well, yeah, it is a possible into different extent. Yeah. Well, I think the only thing we can do is try our best to do what we can with the right intention. The
Absolutely.
intention from love, I put this way, not the fear or desire, but the intention from love. Try our best. That's all we can do.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, I've spent way more time thinking about company structures and org charts and things than I would like to have over the years. I mean, you've also got like the opposite of that, where you just have this completely flat thing. Seems like a great idea as well. Like, that's democracy in action or whatever. But actually, what happens is there's still a business owner somewhere, or a shareholder, or one person who ends up being the boss or the CEO or something. And then what happens is you are entirely at the mercy of that one single point on the chart. Even if everything else is completely flat, everyone's reporting to that same person effectively. So it's not a flat structure at all. It's just a hierarchy of two levels.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the right answer is either. Because if you try to make it sort of equitable, where it's less about levels and reporting lines and all of that sort of thing, then it gets really complicated and quite messy, and nobody really grasps how it's meant to work, so it doesn't work, and you end up defaulting back to the other one anyway. So yeah, I don't know what the answer is.
I somehow learned from the spiritual realm, because I know in that world, let's say we have a source who created us, let's say higher wisdom, and they have a different kind of it's not hierarchy, it's the way, like, because let's say people have a different experience and they step into different roles, bearing different responsibilities. And generally speaking, the higher the role, the bigger the responsibility, right? But I believe there's a balance between the structure, because without the structure and the systems, things can go messy, like what you're saying. And then people don't have they don't have the guideline to do, like in driving somewhere in certain country. If they don't follow the rule, people feel not safe, right? But if we have a certain rules, people know what to do. And then, but at the same token, internally, like hardware is a structure and the system, but the software is depends on the intention from the leader herself. But the main thing is that the leader really truly feel everyone is equal. Literally, doesn't matter of the role, whatever it is, even they're a god, a source over there, they treat every single soul equally. They didn't think they're big and whatever higher, whatever it is. They love every single soul equally. And that's what we can learn from the unconditional love source about this part. But actually, to go into that level, it is about to learning unconditional love. It sounds very easy, but it's totally very hard. And everything actually, my personally feel, to learn that is actually to really unconditional love ourselves first. If we really look at ourselves without any judgment, and really accept all aspects of ourselves, we started to see the uniqueness of ourselves. We started to respect and accept everybody else. It is a hard journey, but it starts from here. It all starts from here. And I think as a leader in this world, with integrity, that's my mission and passion now. Why I'm on different podcasts is that because I personally transformed myself from a logical and from fear and desire, not fulfilled imposter syndrome leader, now become really truly balanced and spiritual leader. I'm still growing into it from a love and care, and has wholeheartedly endless energy to share with the world. I personally transform from that stage. So that's why I'm on the podcast to share these divine messages now. Yeah.
Well, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, spirituality isn't something we really talk about very often. Partly because of my own kind of biases. I'm very much not that sort of person. I'm probably an atheist, but I don't really think about it very much, if I'm honest. However, there are definitely lessons there. Like, even if you don't believe, in inverted commas, and I say this about the Bible as well quite a lot, because we get Jesus picked for the last question quite often, and this comes up quite a lot. But even if you don't believe in the religious or the spiritual aspects of it, there's still some lessons in there. There's good learnings that you can take from it. And I think, as you were talking there, the one that immediately struck me was self-leadership. And that kind of, and we talked about it a bit earlier already, didn't we, with self-awareness and self-reflection, but that ability to lead yourself first, and knowing that if you can't lead yourself, you shouldn't be leading anyone else. But also, if you can lead yourself, then you should be able to overcome that imposter syndrome because you're leading yourself already. You can lead at least one person, therefore you're capable of leading others. And I think that's something that's helped me quite a few times over the years.
Yeah, and if we can do that, that's true integrity. That's a true integrity. If we can truly lead ourselves. Yeah.
And also that equality aspect, seeing everyone as equals. I think for me, that's why I've always had an issue with hierarchy, because it implies that some people are more valuable than others. And while in a business setting, you can rationalize that quite easily through like experience or skill sets or qualifications, I think it leads you down a slippery slope to thinking like, well, I'm worth more than that person because I'm a director or whatever. And I just don't think that's a very nice way to think if you're in a leadership position. Because for me, leadership is about people. So if you're devaluing those people, you're not leading very well.
Yeah. I can feel that's a title leader stage. Because they holding the title feel that's everything they, really cherish for. Yeah. But actually the essence of leadership is not that at all. Because I actually learned from my spiritual mentor. She inspired me with this sentence. She said the true essence of the leadership is actually to help everyone to become the best version of themselves. And I truly believe in that and started to really practice with myself. And if I can help myself to become a better version all the time, I could inspire and guide others to become better version. And that's the culture behind our team as well. Everybody stay together to grow together. That's true essence of the leadership. Yes.
Yeah, no, I quite like that. I also like great leaders create other leaders. Because again, because I think what we've been talking about really, like hierarchy and all that, everything we've kind of complained about really, let's be honest, so far, none of that to me is actual leadership. It's management, really. That's what it really is.
Yeah.
And I think this is where in business in particular, people get the two ideas mixed up. I think that's where things go off the rails, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I love that kind of the helping others do better, be better, improve, become leaders themselves, achieve the best that they can, be their best selves, whatever cliche phrase you prefer, you choose. But
yeah. And surprisingly, in that kind of environment, people do stay and work out solutions together. Yeah, to be honest, with our business model, as mentioned, our team members, they don't have a steady workload because we don't have full-time, part-time model. A lot of them actually very hardly, sometimes they don't even have any work, but they actually stay with the team for many, many years because the intention is to grow. It's not just purely for money or experience. They are there, but that's not the main drive because behind the scenes, we can always grow from it and then share this journey together. So in that kind of environment and culture with intention, the talent do stay as well as a team to grow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And you said surprisingly. I don't think it's surprising at all. I think it makes perfect sense. Like, it's, I mean, I say every episode I sign off with be a leader, not a boss. And I think that's it, isn't it? Like, people stay with leaders, they leave bosses. And I think that's the difference we're talking about here.
Yeah.
One concept I'd like to visit with you, because I think you're going to have some interesting thoughts on this as well. One of the things, particularly for entrepreneurs, when they first start their businesses or when they first start bringing on team members, I'm sure you've seen it. I've definitely seen it. I've worked for these people. They really struggle with that word delegation. And
tell me about it.
Yeah, and like, I'm not sure I even really like the word delegation because, again, it implies hierarchy and devaluing people and all these other things. But anyway, so let's call it dividing up the workload, right? Yeah. So what strategies, what approaches would you recommend for someone who's struggling with this so they can actually learn to do it effectively without kind of losing touch of what they want the business to be and what they see as their own role as well?
I think there are two aspects. One is from mindset point of view. Why do we delegate? First of all, if you feel like delegation is like just get rid of my things and give to someone else, Of course, probably there's a feeling behind it is like comparison or the hierarchy style, right? So the first of all, if you feel like I actually use a exercise I share with all my audience or the communities, even my clients, is that while I was financial planner, I had a business coach. At that time, how I started to work with the VAs, I started to delegate, is because I did exercise. I started to put my all the skill around my life and work into 4 categories. Start from incompetence, which is something I don't like to do. I'm not good at it. To competence, which is I'm really good at it, but I don't like that dearly. And then go to excellence. I'm good at it and I love it. And go to the essence, the genius part, which is part of me, nothing can replace. So I did exercise. Everybody can really try that. You can bring some whatever in your life, even cooking or cleaning, whatever, you can put into those 4 categories. The reason for us to delegate is not about high or low, whatever it is. It is about our energy. I always believe energy management is even more important than the time management, because I notice if I'm in the heart flow, in the higher energy state, in a vibration, I can do things just like this, very efficient with the creativity. However, if something actually dragging my energy down, I can't perform really with the productivity and the creativity. And I found the reason behind it is if we actually stuck a lot in the incompetence, that's the first layer, it's draining our energy for sure. Because there's something, imagine, we're not good at. I know I don't like to do it. And we had to do it. How do you feel? Well, if I listen to it, you already feel like heavy, right? So that was my decision to delegate that part out first. It's not because I'm better, you're worse. Actually, I delegate because the other person is better than me in that aspect. With them working on it, they like to do it, they're good at it. By them doing on it, they go there at heart flow, improve the productivity, also give my energy back. And then I delegate the competence part, and then the excellence part, and then genius part. Funny enough, I want to share with you why I actually finished my career as financial planning is because when I did exercise, I find out the financial planning was laying down my competence part, which is I'm good at it, but I don't love that dearly. That means something was missing there. Then I started to question myself. Is that a career I'm going to do the rest of my life? Oh, apparently not. That's how I actually made a decision based on the exercise. But because that decision, I started to go to my genius zone gradually. I made a decision to delegate out those areas that is actually draining my energy. Now I gradually work in my genius zone, what the things I love to do, make me passionate. I'm always energy vibration, so I can really truly contribute back more to this world, to be honest. So yeah, that's the mindset part of whether we want to delegate and why do we delegate. Another thing, the other part is about software. Let's say mindset. The other part is about logical part is how to delegate, right? So a lot of people, when we started to delegate, we experienced a lot of challenges, hurdles, including myself. I think a couple of things. One thing is about our expectation. So if we expect someone else to deliver the result exactly as what we think to start with, the possibility could be 0.111, something like that. Because we're all different, especially a lot of business owners. We are visionaries. We're thinking things with ideas and structures. But the VAs and someone who is doing detail work, they're very detail oriented. We are totally two different kind of languages. If we're with our expectation, okay, design me something with this feeling, they come up with something, I experienced that, totally different from my thoughts. Then of course we will get frustrated and disappointed and feel like, oh, why do I delegate? Why don't I do myself? You can't really understand me. It's about expectation. But if we actually really use our language to speak to, even like AI now, we notice that the more detailed prompts we give to AI, the better the outcome. The same as a human being, like whomever is different from us. If we give them directions, they can actually surprise us. That's what happened to me. I actually practice my, for example, design work. They come with the first prompt. I give them indication of where to change instead of just express, oh my gosh, I don't like this. It doesn't really help, right? And just tell them where to make change. That's about it. And then come back again, make another fine tune. Oh, surprise me because I didn't even think about the outcome could be like that. So it is unlimited possibility there with our guidance. So expectations. Another thing is about communication, as just mentioned. How do we communicate? Use their language to guide things through. So there's a few components there about a delegation. It is a journey. And that's actually why I'm doing what I'm doing, is because I personally experienced it. With our team, I'm part of the team as a team member as well as a strategist. When we're working with different business owners, I can full hand to help them to practice this part of things to leverage our resources better. Mm.
Yeah, I think your definition of competence there, I think that's how I feel about project management, spreadsheets and things like that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
apparently I'm good at it, but I kind of hate it.
You know what? Yeah, when I started my business, I had to work as a project manager too, and
Yeah.
QA, all those things. I was good at it, but it just something is draining my energy too. So I
Yeah.
actually delegate out now as well. But someone is really just well organized. They like those kind of skill, the areas, Yeah, it is about. It's like a whole machine. Everybody has their own uniqueness and into different part of this machine to work together as a team. It's about a team effect. It's not about a high and low, whatever it is. It's everybody to play a part of this whole team. And that's about it.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely,
Mm.
definitely. Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky and been able to work on some really incredible projects, and like the things they were doing were very cool. But my bit of it, yeah, kind of soul destroying. Fill in the spreadsheet, do the form, arrange the meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So I really like your point there as well about like expectations and communication. So I mean, that's a key theme for any kind of leadership. But it also made me think, like, as a business owner, as a entrepreneur, even as somebody who's selling services, like the client and the way they define what they want could definitely benefit from that as well.
Yeah.
Because how many times have you had that brief where you look at it and you're like, I don't really know what they want? Like what? And yeah, so there's so many areas of life where these kind of methods of communicating would be of benefit, I think.
Yeah, that's so true. And life is a journey itself. And like whatever we experience is here to really help us to grow anyway. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very
Definitely.
interesting journey. Mm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm always struck with these conversations about how like cross-functional a lot of these skill sets are. Like for me, I always look at it through the leadership lens, but actually so many of these things, and communication is the classic one, it's useful for so many other like specialisms, areas of life even.
But actually, I think delegation skill is still part of management skill. A lot of actually, the leadership is actually, I wouldn't say it doesn't have it, but it's not the main component. Leadership is more like really someone really there as a leader for the other people to look up to and then feel like, okay, that's the example. Leading example. Leadership is a leading example as a combination, as integrity, like what your podcast about. And people look at it, they got inspired. And they're trying to strive to get better. And then, it's inspiration. Let's put it this way. Leadership is about leading example as inspiration. Delegate is just one part of the little skill.
No,
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah. So the delegation's definitely like there's a management aspect of it. I think it's so the management part of it is what you need to do, when, by, maybe how, but yeah. Whereas the leadership bit is like, why should I do it? Why do I want to do it? And then actually getting them to do it, or making them get enthusiastic and motivated to do it. Yeah, there is it's one of those things I think where it kind of crosses the line a little bit. Because if you're just purely a manager and not a leader, you can delegate quite well on paper, but whether the work will actually ever get done is a different question.
Yeah. And especially the leadership is more about motivate inner drive. Like we're saying, it's not force somebody to do something. It's just like they naturally, intention meets intention. We have the things here and they wanted to do it, and it's perfect as matching and go together. Yeah, as a team. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the other thing with the leadership aspect of it is you can't just do it that one time when you're delegating the task. It has to have been a long-term situation, if you like. You have to have been leading prior to delegating that work. You can't just rock up and then suddenly be like, this is amazing, guys. It's part of this awesome vision, this one bit of task. If you fill in this spreadsheet now, it's going to change our business. And they were like, okay, but this is the first time hearing of it, and you want me to do it now, do you? Okay, cool. That's not leadership either, is it? So yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so moving on to some more leadership questions. I think we've covered quite a few of the common mistakes, so we can probably skip that question. If you had to pick out one biggest leadership lesson from your career so far, what would that be, do you think?
It's something I'm still working on with myself. Actually,
Okay.
It is about integrity part. As mentioned, the many years I couldn't really do what I said and say what I do, that actually destroyed my self-confidence. I'm actually working on myself now, truly, from every aspect of my life. If I truly promise that, will I be able to really do that? So, and I noticed that was my part of my life lesson about self-responsibility, about the keeping the promise and really do it. I know it, but I didn't do it. Then missing one segment, like I didn't really complete a cycle to truly integrate into my embody it. So I'm still on the journey of really do what I say what I do. And because of that, if I can 100% do that, I believe that will really truly inspire my team even stronger from boundary point of view. Because I would truly setting the living example. Because sometimes I set a rules and someone, if it hasn't met that, I kind of like soft, so if I can really practice on that part, be really spot on. I said this, I did it, and I'm really just wholeheartedly be honest with myself. I will have true confidence to really lead my team really even stronger forward with compassion. So I would say I'm still working on it. Not 100% yet, but that's my growth space. Yeah.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I think there's definitely a skill in having that sort of the compassionate accountability, let's say empathetic even. Because at the end of the day, like everyone's human. You're human. We err. We fall short. And I think you've got to have a bit of that sort of that, as you called it, compassion, a bit of that flexibility to understand sometimes. But then also as a business owner, you do need that accountability. Otherwise, nothing ever gets done and no goals will ever be met. So there is a balance, isn't there, to do it with kindness, but still keep things on track. And that is definitely a skill
Yeah.
that not everyone has.
Yeah, and also, for example, if one of the team member always said, "Oh, I feel guilty about it. I feel guilty about it," then I notice her left lesson. It is about a guilty, right? And when I talk about it, if I haven't really truly let go of my guiltiness, for me to lead that person, I could probably just give some perspective, but not teaching or guiding because I can't fully even totally let go of my guiltiness as yet. In saying that, I wouldn't be able to be a true leader in that perspective. That's what I mean as integrity. So if I teach someone, point out that person's issue or areas, if I haven't fully done it, I can't teach. So that's simple as it is. I can probably share my experience to inspire, but I can't teach. I haven't graduated it yet. And as an integrity part as a leader, I think everything started with ourselves. If I don't have a respect, patience, acceptance, compassion, everything with ourselves, we can't give it out, simply as it is. So once again, it's about self-leadership to start with. Once we fully can really embody with integrity, we will have a true wholehearted confidence to lead a team.
Yeah, it's interesting. You've triggered a memory in me there. Like one of the earliest lessons I learned about leadership, thinking all the way back to when I was like 14 or 15, I think, was about never expect anyone you're leading to do something you're not prepared to do yourself. And they called it at the time, I think the phrase was like moral authority or something like that. But really, we're talking about integrity, aren't we? And like whatever the opposite of hypocrisy is. I don't know if there's a word for that. And I think it's an important principle. I think sometimes where it meets practical reality, it can get a bit like unachievable, especially in a bigger business where Like, I mean, you're actually probably quite a good example because you're leading quite a few specialists in their areas where you don't have that specialism. So you couldn't possibly never ask anyone to do something if you can't do it yourself, because that's not what specialists are for, is it? Like, that's not how that model works.
I often share with my project manager, I say, you don't have to be perfect to know everything to lead a team. But at
This is
least you
it.
know what's the directions, what is the responsibility, what is everybody holding. We all have a different role in this team. That's why we're a team, right?
That's it. Yeah. The modern evolution of this principle, though, I think is you can't expect people to work hard if you're not willing to work hard. And it's less about like the specific work, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's how I think about it now anyway. But I think it's a good like foundational principle for leaders and for managers to have that sort of in the back of your mind, that if I want people to deliver their best, I need to be at least trying to deliver my best.
That's so true. They have one saying that if any of the leaders here, we have the habit, because I used to have the habit to blame others, like this, point to others. There's one finger to the other, four fingers towards myself. Because I used to blame myself a lot. So I love to blame others. And I realized that's my life lesson, right? So, and nowadays I don't really use to criticize or blame. If I can't do it properly, why do I blame others? This person probably made a mistake. We just need to let them know what is the mistake, what is the next step, right? And at the same time, reflect, how are we doing with it? And it's a great mirror for us, to be honest. Nowadays, I truly see this trend. AI started to booming, right? And a lot of business started to just purely working with the AI because they're saying, oh, working with a human, too much hassle, too much sick leave, this and that. But I just sense there is a possibility for human and AI working together. If we're purely just working with AI without any human attachment, we're losing that part of the mirror of the triggering the life lesson part to self-reflect, to be honest, because AI is they do whatever we say, basically. There's no rejections, no reflections, nothing there, like they just do whatever. Of course, you feel like a simple, easy, like what we're mentioning. If it's too smooth, probably we miss out a lot of opportunities to learn as well. So that's all we can see, that it's a trend. And if we can work both parties together, that would be wonderful.
Yes. I don't know. I'm on the fence about AI still. It's I just, I don't know. I don't want to sound like a technophobe because I'm very much not. But at the same time, I think it's being forced a little bit at the moment, and it's being put into situations where it doesn't need to be there, and replacing jobs that doesn't need to replace. In fact, I recently read about one company. I can't remember which one it was now. It wasn't like well known, but they had laid off a large portion of their workforce. I think it was a customer service workforce, and replaced them with AI, and then had recently had to reverse that and bring human jobs back, because it turns out a lot of customers don't like dealing exclusively with AI agents.
Sure.
They want that human connection in customer service.
Yeah.
Which feels like, I mean, that the writing was on the wall from the beginning there, surely. I mean, that would, in hindsight, that is obvious. But I think everyone's going for, partly I think it's a trend, it's like the in thing to say you've got AI in your business. And partly I think there's a cost reduction that a lot of businesses are chasing there, because they won't have staff costs, insurance costs, etc., etc. But I think in the long run, if it costs you all your customers, it wasn't much of a saving, was it?
Wow. I think everything exists for a reason, and everything is double-sided sword, the same as AI. How we really look at it to leverage that to working together as a team. That's why I'm stronger on the team effect now. Just no one replace each other, because nothing can be replaced. And the human as a soul ourselves are very unique. But if as a mankind we have a fearful of to be replaced, then that's probably somewhere we can learn some lesson. Yeah, but if we can embrace it to improve the productivity at the same time to really help human to focus on a genius zone, then that's a different story.
Absolutely. No, I think you're 100% right. I think it's less about whether to use it and more about how to use it. And I think
yes,
just, I think if you're going into it with a let's save staff costs as your mentality, you're doing it wrong. That I think is the lesson I take.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Intention. Everything starts from intention, whether it's really the
Exactly.
desire and the fear, or you come from love and care to really want to help the business to grow, help everybody to grow, to focus on the genius. So it's a different intention. How we use it, it's more important. Yeah.
I agree. Okay, so I've only got 2 questions left for you.
Okay.
I think you're either going to find this one really, really easy or you're going to struggle with it. I don't know. If people fall into 2 camps with this
Throwing
one.
it out.
So if you could go back in time, how far back in your own life would you go and what would you say to your younger self?
To love yourself more. Because I used to be the one who dragged by my mistake a lot. That was my biggest baggage. That's why I was a very controlling freak at the beginning, because I needed certainty. I don't want to make mistakes. I thought the mistakes are there to really drag me down. But because I decided to let it affect me, that was my decision. I was looking at it and let it to become part of my burden. But instead to really accept what it is. If I made a mistake, accept I made a mistake. At that time, at my age, from what I know, I made a mistake. Just accept the fact. I learned a lesson from it. And now I understand now the purpose of the mistake, or let's say whatever happens for a reason. It depends on how we look at it, right? Depends on what we do with it. It depends on our decision. So now I know that whether I look at my mistake from fear or desire, or always really from a love and care to accept and to learn from it. So that was one of the biggest thing. While I was young, I was dragged down a lot. So I playing very safe, hide myself, people pleasing, self-sacrifice, self-sabotage, everything is from there. So now I understand. But by saying that, because I personally experienced it, I went through from darkness through light, and then with the transformation, I believe nothing is really scary. If I could do it, everybody can do it. So I see the meaning behind it. One, I walk through this journey myself. Now it's me to give back to this world because I did it myself. And it is possible from darkness to lightness. Yeah. From unfulfilled to truly confident. Be the light, be the love. Yeah.
It's a great lesson, I think.
Yeah.
It's very human nature, though, isn't it? To lean on the fears, to go almost like, well, self-sabotage is the right phrase, isn't it, that you used? Definitely. I don't know if it's a youth thing necessarily, but I think a lot of people, I think we kind of grow out of it. Because I did very similar things when I was younger, and definitely put the kind of the blinders on, the blinkers on, and just focused on work all the time and forgot about other things, and definitely burnt out as well, although I didn't recognize it at the time. And it's it's a good lesson, definitely. Thank you for sharing that.
So we treasure the experience. Whatever happened for us, there was a meaning behind it. Yeah, it is a treasure.
It's a positive, it's a nice way to look at it, definitely. And I feel like that's better than going into the other spiral.
Sure. And trust me, when we lead a team, the more we actually personally experience, we understand others' perspective. Recently, just a very quick example. One of our leader in the team, she was looking after HR side. She is very logical and strict. And she says, I just couldn't understand why some people, they can't just follow the rules. And last week, she was sick. She couldn't even respond. She doesn't have energy to really answer any question, like to get in touch with the team. Then because of the experience, she understands when someone in that energy state, they just couldn't bother. They just don't have the energy to do anything. So because of the experience, she understands now. Oh, so when other people experience that, what was their feeling? So she let go of the judgment of that because the experience. So let's imagine that as a leader, if we experience a lot of things and resonate and then learn the lesson from it, we can really be empathy for others, understand the other people's perspective, and provide support accordingly. That's a treasure.
Yeah, I think empathy is an important one, definitely, and that emotional intelligence. And I don't know, I feel like you shouldn't have to go through the experience personally in order to empathize with someone else who is. Because otherwise you can only empathize with people who have the same experiences as you, right? I feel like it needs to go beyond that. I don't know. That's a half-formed thought.
You know, my spiritual mentor, I actually look at her as a leader. Why? Because she experienced a lot of things. A lot. Bankrupt, divorced twice, and a lot of family issues. Their parents was hurting her. Everything you can imagine. It doesn't mean that we have to personally go through, but because of her experience and she went through that journey and with the transformation, she has that much compassion for others. Whatever other people mention, she can understand with the support, patience, and a space to let them breathe and to really heal. It's an enormous a leadership example, but because she experienced that. Yeah. So I think since then I got inspired. I started to embrace unknown because I know whatever is happening for me, it's give me opportunity to grow. And because of that, with that experience, I will gain much more stronger inner strength to have the true ability to help others. Otherwise, I would be just like imposter. You're like, I'm a leader, but inside I'm very weak. I didn't even experience that, and just saying it but not doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of the debate I find myself having quite a lot about coaches. So there's this thing in the coaching world, isn't there, about it's a methodology, a practice, and that's it, and anyone can do it, versus, well, hang on, no, you shouldn't be coaching me about, I don't know, leadership, so if you've never led anyone. And there's a big tension there, I think. I mean, I've used leadership as an example. You could use marketing or business coaching or life coaching, anything like that. I think there's quite a few sort of charlatans and in that world who are just pushing a very expensive service when they've got no real knowledge behind it. So I don't know. But then I also think it is a methodology that's true. I think both is the answer. But anyway.
I think it's a balancing act. It is, but behind it's a truth. I think in this world, we're acting according to truth. If something is a truth, non-shakeable, we just, act from it. And that's about it. Whether that's knowledge or methodology or is a true experience, if it's truth, we will on the alignment, But if it's not the truth, doesn't matter what the title, what the state, what kind of framework, whatever it is, it won't feel right. You can feel it. I believe every single soul has our own sense of filtering through, and our heart know the answer. Our heart knows the answer.
Yeah, maybe apart from politicians, but
yeah.
Anyway.
That's not good.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to get a little dig in. Yeah. One final question for you, Joanna. Time has been flying. So this is usually my favorite question as well. So it's leadership heroes.
Leadership heroes.
So if you had to pick one person, but it could be anyone you could think of. So they could be alive or dead, past or present, someone you know, someone you've never met, someone you've read about, real, fictitious, anything. But someone who, in your opinion, would perfectly embody leadership. Who would that person be for you and why?
Oh, I think I just mentioned it. My spiritual mentor. She is a true leader in my eyes. Yeah, in my heart as well. Because whatever we actually bring up, she can always resonate with it. And because she personally experienced all the things and she had a very hard journey, but she actually went through that. As example, she won from this point to this point as a leading example. So, and her teaching, like what you mentioned just now, some coaches probably just talking about the theories. You can feel when somebody talking about something, it's just not touching. It's logical with some words, right? No feeling. But with her, it's a true blood, flesh, with life and energies. You can feel it. That's the real deal. That's different. It gave me inspiration. Do I want it to work out from surface, from the word, from the logical, from the brain? Look good, but nothing really with a true strength? Or do I really want it to just be myself, to share my true experience, be upfront, be authentic? I choose this side. I wanted to really personal experience it and share my experience and then use my story. Hopefully it can be inspiration for others, whatever it can be. So it's our choice at the end of the day. So she's my true example, living example.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that answer, I have to say. I think it's clear the way that you view her and the respect and admiration you've got for this person, because you've mentioned her a few times through our conversation, and there's some very clear lessons that you're drawing from that as well. And I always find answers to this question fall into one of like three camps. Like there's the fictitious characters, which are really fun to talk about, but ultimately they don't really mean that much because they're not real. There's the kind of the historical figures, the unattainable perfection who, yeah, I mean, depending on how far back in history they were, I don't know that we really know the real them. And then there's ones like yours where it's people you actually know whose leadership you've personally experienced. And as much as I like talking about the other two categories, this one I think is my favorite because it's the most meaningful. It's the most real. It's actual leadership in the real world. So thank you for sharing that answer as well.
Thank you for asking.
Of course. Well, I ask all the questions. I had to. Yeah.
You're a great host.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I think that's it. Yeah. So we're almost out of time anyway. So thank you so much, Joanna, for this conversation. It's gone down a few tangents and paths that I didn't expect, but that always makes for the most interesting conversations. One final thing I will ask you is if anyone in the audience would like to learn more about you or your business, what are the links and where can they go?
Oh, well, I think the best thing is just find me on LinkedIn. I just put my name, Joanna Zhang. If there are multiple of me and just put operations beside it, I believe I will show up.
Lovely. Okay. Well, I'll find that link myself and put it in the show notes anyway, so people can find that easily.
Beautiful. We
lovely.
connected
Well,
already.
We did. You're right. Well
That's
remembered.
right.
I say that. It was only yesterday, wasn't it? Oh, man, I'm having one of those weeks.
We're finally connected. It's sooner or later, I believe there's a cross path, in this world. I believe there's a divine arrangement in the way that somehow, we get to connect, we understand and collaborate, whatever it is. Yeah, as part of the plan. We're here to deliver some message for the leadership part. Yeah, beautiful.
Fair enough. Well, thank you again so much for being with us and have a great rest of your day. Well, evening
so
for you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Have a good nice day.
Thank you again, Joanna, for that conversation. Loved that. Did not predict where some of those tangents were going to take us, but they were really interesting. I was really struck by the common lessons there from both of our experiences, but also in the spiritual sense as well. Listener, viewer, hope you enjoyed that as well. If you would like to learn more about Joanna, you'll find her LinkedIn down there in the show notes too. Do click on that, reach out to her, drop her a message. I'm sure she'd love to hear from you. And if you are new to leadership yourself, if you are one of those struggling new managers, you don't know where to start, you're worried about your job performance, you're starting to lack confidence, maybe imposter syndrome or imposter feelings are starting to tap you on the shoulder, and you just like to expand your leadership knowledge, develop your leadership skills, then do come and join my community. It's for leaders just like you. It's called Integrity Leaders. It's 100% online. It exists to offer support, guidance, knowledge, and a safe space for new leaders, struggling leaders just like you, and help you achieve that clarity in your leadership that you may currently be missing. That website again is on the screen, leadingwithintegrity.co.uk. And when you get to the homepage, click on that green button and it will take you to sign up for the community. Also, don't forget, as a podcast listener, you can benefit from an exclusive 50% off discount code, which is also on the screen and in the show notes. That's all for today's episode. Do join me again next week for another interesting, educational, hopefully engaging and entertaining conversation about leadership. Thank you so much for listening or watching, being with us again, for becoming part of this podcast journey. And I hope you'll be back again very soon. And until then, be a leader, not a boss.